What is up? What is up, people? Okay. At some point, I'm live here. Looks like I'm live. I haven't gone live on Facebook in a while. I used to go live all the time. Um, Excellent. All right, so it's recording. Hey, everyone. Happy 2024. What a great time to be alive. Yet, yet. It's also not a great time to be alive for a lot of people in this world. I mean, we're just gonna dive straight into it. There's so much potential that we have right in front of us. I look at this, like I look at my wife, my son. There's a lot of really cool potential, both for myself and my family, but then also in our community. You know what we're doing with the Self Perfected group. Um, there's so much potential, but also we look at the state of the world. I mean, I don't even have to try that hard to come up with um, all the BS that you see out there. Here, I'm going to make sure all my apps are closed because I want to make sure this is loud and clear for everybody. All right. All right. There we go. So, the world. I mean, what last year was Ukraine and Russia. Now it's like Israel, Palestine. Like, there's. Would you want to trade places with someone in that position? Probably not. But you basically won the lottery because you have access to the internet. You have access to social media. Like you have a good enough setup where you have free time to watch this video. You have enough free time to listen to content and all that. So why I'm making this is because you play a role in the world and where it's headed. And the time of sitting on the sidelines is over. So have you noticed how over the past 20 years, things have changed more than in the past 2000? I mean, look at the iPhone. Look at the geopolitics situation. We got like some crazy stuff going on with like wars on terror. We got uh, last year was the year of AI. Now it's the year of humanoid robots. I mean, there's so much happening, and we're really still just getting started. Like AI is still in its infancy, and use things like ChatGPT or you see what I mean, even what the algorithms are doing on social media. It's wild what is happening. Yet we still are at the tip of the iceberg. And so I made this video and I call it the State of the Union because there's the most helpful worldview out there is this. Okay. And what is a worldview, by the way? It's like everyone has one. It's how do you see the world? Like, where do you see the world is headed? What do you see as your role in the world? It's like a giant puzzle. And some people just see, oh, the world's just out there and whatever, and I'm just kind of here temporarily, and then I just die or something happens, or I die and I go to heaven, or oh, there's some alternate, parallel realities or whatever. Like people have all sorts of theories on this, but it's like let's just look at what is actually here. What can we verify is real right now? And if we're not careful, we're gonna end ourselves up in a really tough situation. And one thing I've noticed too, especially over the past year, was the first year I've been a father. And you'll do anything for your kid, creating the best environment for them at home, everything. But then you start to realize, wow, there's a world out there that will start to influence him. And if I'm not careful, he's going to get messed over by the media, by people, just by this storm that's been brewing. Well, the storm's here, and you're either in the eye of the storm and you're directing the storm, or the storm is starting to pick up now and you're really starting to see it and feel it. So, for the State of the Union, we're on a new frontier. When you hear the word frontier, what comes to your mind? Like here in America, right? I'm American through and through. When we were taught about the frontier, it was like when people started coming to America and like settling the land. It was like wilderness out there, and it had to be developed. And it requires courage. It requires a willingness to go into the unknown, and it requires certain skill sets and tenacity and fortitude to be able to not just survive, but also make it better than where you came from. In the same way, there's a new frontier, but it's not what you might think it is. See, some people, like Elon Musk, right? He says the new frontier is we got to go to Mars, Or Zuckerberg says, hey, the new frontier is let's go to the metaverse and let's all, get avatars and go hang out in meta, whatever he's calling it. Um, those are frontiers, but it's not the new frontier. The new frontier is specifically outside your front door in your local community. The new frontier is who you are within yourself and how you relate to the people around you. In sociology, there's a guy, Robin Dunbar, came up with this number, right? This was his theory. And it's called Dunbar's number. And it's that every person can have about 150 people in their network, in their community, that they can trust. And after about 150, it starts to fraction. And whether or not that's fully true, I think you can see the obviousness that you have probably 150 people around you. And what I do, actually, and I have an episode of this on my podcast explaining how I built my network list from, this would be back in 2015. And it's like I have a list of all the people that I know, whether we're working together on something right now or in the future or whatever it is, there's a way you can categorize who is in your network, who is in your community. Because it's one thing when you're like, hey, I know this person and they do this. And then if I ever need help with this, I can reach out to them. Or, hey, I know they're working on writing a book and, I can help them with whatever. Okay, that's one level. But then the next level is when you realize, hey, I know this person and this person, they got to meet each other. Because of this, and it's a default for me, I've automated this. I've created, an amazing community around myself, like amazing network from people of all walks of life. But also from that, I've now been a bridge for multiple people to get into relationships with each other. Like I knew one person and then I knew another person. Now they're literally married and have kids. That's pretty cool because now those kids are going to grow up and be friends with my kids. That's like really awesome. Like really, really cool. And so when I look at the state of the world and everything, is like, what is my role in it? Is I see this new frontier is what's outside your front door in your community with the people around you, whether it's both in person locally and also, around your country and around the world. And what does it take to thrive in this new frontier? Because again, whether you're aware of it or not, AI, the UN predicts, this is public information, you can look it up. The United Nations predicts that by 2030, guess how many jobs are going to be automated? Guess what they openly publicly say. How many jobs are going to be automated to AI? Not replaced and then they get a new job. Like their jobs are gone. Guess how many? 5 million, 10 million? No. Try 800 million. It's more than the entire population of the US. The US has about 300 million people. Canada, for reference, has 3 million people. Are you prepared for over double that amount to not have a job? And there will be some of you who will then immediately go into, no, well, AI is just going to help make new jobs. It's not going to be a one-for-one, though. Like, think of what it takes to succeed with AI. You have to be a massive learner. Like, you have to understand these things. You have to be able to test and think scientifically how you would actually test, like, if you want to, use AI for your marketing. Like, there's a process to that. So, this world, right? Again, last year was the year of AI where it really came on the scene. This year is the year of humanoid robots. Okay? Look it up. Optimus robot. Look at the demo day they did. It's like version 2. I think they're on version 2 right now. Okay, Elon, old buddy Elon Musk, right? His goal, stated publicly, is he wants, guess how many robots he wants in the world? How many Optimus bots does Elon want? By the way, all of you who own Tesla stock or own Tesla and you like that, it's like you realize Tesla is actually a robotics company, and everything that is being fed to the Tesla cars and everything from X that's been put on what previously known as Twitter, all of that is getting fed into the same AI system that now these robots are being trained in. It's amazing. You got to look it up. You got to look up these Optimus bots because they're learning in a different way than other robots. Like Boston Dynamics has been doing this for probably decades. But Boston Dynamics used to have those first robots. You probably recognize it if you watch a YouTube video where it's like, they would be programmed to do things like dance or, pick up boxes and send them down. The Tesla bots are learning in a completely different way. They're learning through the visual input and then they're modeling. So they don't have to be programmed. They're learning through the AI itself, which is cool, but also really wild. So back to my question to you is, do you know how many robots Elon Musk would like per human? So maybe like one robot for every 100 people, maybe one robot for every 10 people? No. Try 5 to 1. He wants 5 robots for every 1 human. Let me say that again. Elon Musk wants 5 robots for every 1 human. Now, cool. Okay, maybe it's still 10 years out, maybe it's 4 years out, maybe it's 20 years out. I'm still going to be around in 20 years, and I would imagine you are too. Are you prepared for that world, and are your kids prepared for that world? So this is right here what I call a State of the Union. So I'm going to send this to a lot of you, and this is going to be like a reference point that we can see for 2024 moving forward. How you can set yourself up for massive success. And to succeed in the new frontier, here are some things that I have seen that have worked well for me. So I'm not just speaking in theory. This is stuff that I've seen work extremely well for myself. One, first and foremost, realizing the education that got me here is not what's going to get us to the future. I went to school, right? I grew up going to public school. I had 30 kids in the class and one teacher. And they were teaching standard way, right? Flashcards, read the textbook, all that. That model is broken. That model is not going to work. You're going to have to learn how to learn 10 times faster. And when I say learn, I don't just mean memorize stuff. I mean actually comprehend things. Like, do you comprehend what ChatGPT is? Do you comprehend when we say AI? Do you know what AI actually is? Do you know what business actually is? Or do you have a theory about it that you kind of heard from some people and you're kind of piecing it together just to feel good enough? So one, the education system is flawed. So we need a different way of education. I mean, that's like, look at my post. Like, I talk about education all the time because it's really the backbone of our society. If kids are getting dumbed down, guess what? Input equals output. In 20 years, the world's going to be in a much worse place. When kids are getting smarter, and I don't mean from school, but I mean fundamentally building their vocabulary, building their understanding, being able to read any book, that is an ability that's going to be necessary moving forward. So one is education. It's flawed. Yet, there's a new type of education for this century. Second, making money with purpose. So you got to be clear on your purpose. What are you here to do? Who are you? Why are you here? Are you here just to make money? Are you here just to feel good? Are you here just to leave some impact that you haven't really defined? Or is it like, hey, let's connect with the best people. Let's create the best businesses. Let's fundamentally change what's possible in this world. Let's make sure every kid does get a great education. Let's make sure every human can thrive in this world where automation's coming for a lot of people's jobs. Robots are coming for whatever they're coming for. Like, we got to thrive in this environment. So that means aligning yourself in how you make money and what you do, like your life, especially for guys. Like, guys need purpose. Guys need a sense of purpose. Otherwise, they get lazy and they watch porn and they play video games and smoke weed. We call it, in Self-Perfected, we call it the unholy trifecta, is weed, alcohol, and porn. Those are 3 traps guys fall into. And if you're allowing any of that in your life, you're crippling yourself. You're allowing yourself to cripple yourself. So aligning your purpose and your money, that is a really awesome, potent combination. Now next, third is being the best parent. Whether you're a parent now or you're going to be a parent in the future, or let's say you aren't going to be a parent, I would ask you, why don't you want to be a parent? And if you're, let's say, too old or medical reasons, whatever, okay, cool. So then be the best role model to this next generation of kids. And that involves really reimagining what's possible for how kids are raised. Pretty epic. Pretty epic. Like, for example, our son, he's almost 1.5, somewhere around there. And we have a clubhouse every 2 weeks in person. So we've been running this for 4 years. It's all with Self-Perfected, and it's like self-development, but to the highest level. And it's free. And we run it here locally in Minneapolis. And we have them in 30 cities around the world. And we also do a big event once a year as well. And Aristotle, our son, when he's 1 year old, is at these events. He's not sitting in there, taking notes, but he's around the environment. He's seeing how we interact with people. Like, he's seeing what community can look like. And guess what? No one there is drinking alcohol. No one there is like acting weird. It's like cool people there genuinely to support each other. Some people are crushing it. They're very successful in business and in life. Other people are like brand new. Other people come in, and the first time they're there, we've literally had people cry because they're like, wow, this is what I was looking for. It feels like family. It feels like I have finally found my people. That's why we created it, because we couldn't find it. Like, where are the people who actually give a fuck? The people who actually want to change the world and align purpose and money and all this stuff, like, where are they? And we couldn't find it, because every single event we went to, at the end, they pitch you Amway or their real estate thing or whatever. And I have no inherent problems with people pitching some business at the end, but it's like, you could tell the whole starting point of it, the whole intention was, hey, I want to get people in just to make this money. I don't really care about them, whatever. Whereas with our events, like, we have literally had people from our local events that have met and now are married and have kids, and they're raising them with the same set of principles and the same worldview. That is pretty badass. So that's how we choose to raise our son as well. And that's the third part of this new frontier is you got to be really good at supporting this next generation of kids to be raised really effectively. The fourth part, I call it teachability and adaptability, meaning your teachability, how teachable you are, how much you can learn and absorb. The moment you think you know it all, it's like, are you open then? So you got to have a lot of self-honesty here. Another word for teachability, true teachability, is self-honesty. Can you be brutally honest with yourself? Those thoughts you have, those feelings you have in that moment, like a split second, you're like, oh man, I know I got to change that. Or I know I got to call that person. Or, oh, I gotta let that go. And you'll be really good at covering it up. That's really the process. Self-forgiveness, right? There's a lot of tools. We can chat about it, and you can message me and I can share the exact tools and the process of doing this. But an essential piece to thrive in the new frontier, obviously, is teachability, because we don't know what's going to happen in the next few years. We really don't. This is the first year, 2024, where we're going to have mass scale AI with presidential elections. That's really wild. If you haven't watched the AI Dilemma with Tristan Harris and Asa Raskin, I think is his name, search AI Dilemma Tristan Harris. You gotta watch that. Like, as a human being, that should be like required watching. They don't fully have solutions, but like, they explain the magnitude of what's going on. I'll just give you a little taste of it and then I'll keep going. Imagine with quantum computing, which means computers are exponentially more powerful than ever, plus AI, the encryption that has worked, that makes, let's say, your bank account password safe, or when you log into your Google, because everything is connected to your Google, Gmail account or whatever, and you type in your password and it's probably the same password on all your other accounts. The ability for AI and quantum computers to now test every password. In the past, it would have taken a long time because they have to test one by one by one by one. Now, with the AI and the quantum computing, it's like all these things that in the past used to be like locked doors, such as your passwords or your banking information or things like that that are secure. The power of quantum computing brings it to a whole nother level so that that stuff can get unlocked in a way that is going to really put at risk a lot of what's going on. So, like, cybersecurity is going to become a huge thing. I would anticipate cyber attack, cyber pandemic, this bullshit that they're talking about with World Economic Forum. My guess is that that's going to happen. Search Cyber Polygon if you don't know what I'm talking about, and search Event 201. If for those of you who are actually open-minded and you want to see how maybe the whole COVID thing over the past years, there's something called Event 201. You should look it up. Same thing is now they're talking about Cyber Polygon, where then there's going to be cyber attack, and then that's going to be used to restrict free speech online because you could be seen as a threat, and you're like, they want to basically give you a stamp of approval for you to have access to the internet. So that's like the kind of stuff. Like, when I hear that, initially I used to be like, oh shit, that's like intense. That's like really wild. Now I realize, oh, cool. I can just get even better at talking to people. We can get even better at community building, and over time we have people getting into politics and learning how to make a lot of money so we can start to influence at a system level. First, it starts with yourself and changing the system within yourself, which is your mind and your ego. But then next is changing your community and then looking at how do we really change society, right? That's the big picture stuff I like to look at. Okay, so fourth, teachability, adaptability, self-honesty. Fifth, influence. You have to be able to influence others. You have to be able to speak in a way that the stuff coming out of your mouth is received by someone else. Because we all know people who just post shit on Facebook or stand on this, the proverbial street corner preacher who's like, hey guys, the world's coming to an end, or hey guys, we gotta, there's a big problem within Davos. They meet every year and they're like the ones calling the shots. And it's like, no one cares when you say it like that. But when you can tie it into their life and what it means for them and their kids, and you can help them see how it's actually a better future when you take responsibility, and more responsibility equals more wealth. The more responsibility you take on, the more you embrace challenge and face it, the more money you make, as long as you have basic vocabulary and understanding. That's a really, really powerful thing. So that's the fifth part, is the ability to influence. And if you want support with that as well, I have a whole list of books that I have read that have helped me massively. You can DM me for those books. Just DM me the word influencer or whatever. Like, I will know what I'm referring. Say you watch my recent live stream about 2024. I can share some of this stuff with you. But I'm not. One book is not your magic bullet. One book is not gonna say change your life. But it's more this philosophy of realizing, ooh, we are on a new frontier. I see that. That makes sense. I do want to succeed with it. I do want a better world for my kids. Okay, what is actually going to need to happen for us to thrive instead of us being on this new frontier? And then you get eaten by freaking lions. Because there are lions out there. Like, there is actual true danger out there, but we can work together and figure it out, and then we can actually create something better than we've ever imagined. So that's 5 is influence. 6, this is a big one. Some of you might react to this, but it's we really got to get ourselves in positions where we have lots of money and influence on a societal level, and then getting people to make billions of dollars and influence politics. But it's a specific set of principles. I'm not trying to get into politics right now, but in the next 5 to 10 years, absolutely. Myself, also Pedro, who I work with and run the meetup here locally, his goal is become governor. He's still too young, which is amazing. The fact that he's 22 or 21, whatever, and he already knows like part of his life purpose is to become governor and then also support other people. Because guess what? 4 years with one of us in office, 4 years is good, but we need a succession plan. We need decades of us, of people you can actually trust, people who are open about what they care about and what they do, people who have common sense and a set of principles that they commit to before they get into office. And they say, hey, I will sign a pledge, a true pledge, where this is what I stand for. And if I violate this, you guys can freaking kick me out. Like, that's the level of integrity we need. But in order to do that, you have to have a lot of money. Otherwise, you will succumb to the puppet strings. So that's why all these politicians who say a bunch of nice shit and then they get in the public arena and then they're able to be bought off by BlackRock and whoever else. It's like, no, you need to be independently wealthy. So then you go into office for your set amount of time, and then we can change term limits too. And then you go out. That's how the founding fathers did it. They were all entrepreneurs. They were entrepreneurs, and then they saw, hey, I have to do my civic duty of doing politics and helping with that, and then I go back and then I go run my business. That's what we're bringing back here. But again, this is now a whole new level of it because we're in a world with this AI. Very quickly, let's say you're a lone wolf, right? And you're like, oh, yeah, I'll go run for mayor. You have no chance unless you have a group, right? That's the bigger picture behind this group right here. So that's what we're doing, and we will make it happen. You'll watch us, and you'll either be with us on the front lines or you're going to be on the bleachers. Come on the front lines with us. It's way more exciting anyway. It's like, okay, this is a really crude example, but let me give you a blatant example. It's like you're either going to live life where it's like you're on the front lines. Like, think of it as like making love to your significant other versus sitting on the sidelines watching someone else do it. That's the exact same thing as you going out living your purpose every day, going out front lines in politics, in the world, affecting the media, affecting change. It is the most thrilling thing. You're like making love to life as opposed to sitting on the sidelines, right? Big difference. 7th, there's eight parts of this new frontier, right? So 6th was billionaire level politician, like real influence. 7th, the best kids. The best genius kids. Earlier I said point 3 was the best, being the best parent, but I mean now let's focus on the kids for a moment. My friend Cameron, we just did a podcast this morning. He was talking about this. His son Max is 7, and now at night he literally has so many books in his bed, like full on adult books, like Isaac Asimov, like sci-fi, like books on business. This kid read Rich Dad Poor Dad like a year and a half ago. And he's 7, and he actually understands it. He can explain what's an asset versus a liability and how do you run business and make money and all that. This kid's making more money than some of you have. This kid landed a high-ticket deal and got to buy himself a drone. And look, his dad is mentoring him through this, and he's 7. What if you had that when you were 7? So, the best kids. Max was saying this joke. He's like, hey, I have a library in my bed. because Cameron came in one day and he had like let's say 10, 12 books in his bed. And then he goes, "Hey, Cameron, when you were a kid, did you have a library in your bed? How cool is that?" That's what I'm creating for our son here. And then when we have more kids, like these kids are going to be an army, like a true force to be reckoned with, where they're going to be as smart as possible, as well-rounded as possible, as caring as possible, like fully well-rounded humans, but we're engineering it from day one. Shout out to my wife Jessica, because she's like the engineer in our she's like the life engineer in our home. She makes sure I'm well fed. She's literally baking us muffins right now. Like she's watching Aristotle. She does all this stuff, but also I have my role. And when we both do it together, 100% me, 100% her, not the 50-50 bullshit, but the 100% each, that is a real dynamic. And then as our son grows up and he figures out 100% for him what that is, that's powerful. And then last but not least, definitely not least, legacy. Legacy. I'm saying, what is the world you're leaving behind? Like, what if, here's a fun thought experiment. What if when you die, guess what happens? Your like spirit, your soul, your being leaves your body, and then you pop out in a new body right away. Like, where did you come from before you were born? I know it's like an interesting thought experiment, but at one point you were conceived, like you're here, right? You're listening to me, like you have this sense of awareness. Where was that awareness coming from? And now you were born. You're here. Where did you come from? Where are you going to go when you die? What if, when you die, you get born in a new body in this earth, but it's a random lottery? You want to play those odds? You want to play those odds out right now? The fact that you have time to listen to me, that you probably have money in your bank account, you have Wi-Fi access, you probably have a home or an apartment wherever you live, right? And you know English. If you're listening to this, you know English. Think how many people don't even know this language, and we're the language of commerce. And now imagine you're playing the odds and you're like, yeah, this life doesn't really matter. But imagine next life you pop out and then you're doing luck of the draw. And imagine now you're some kid who got born in freaking Gaza right now and a bomb just went off. And you're an innocent little kid and your mom was innocent and all that. And now straight out of the womb, you experience trauma. What would you, if you were that kid, and because those kids are literally right now, today as we speak, that's happening, what would you want if you were that kid? Wouldn't you want some group of people to like really work to change things so we could actually figure out over the next decade or two how we could set things up in a way where we maybe don't have to have atrocities happen? Like, I'm not saying we're all gonna sit in a circle and freaking, sing kumbaya, but where we are like all on the same page enough to realize, okay, we don't need to destroy each other. That doesn't make sense. Maybe we don't see eye to eye on everything, but we don't have to kill each other because that's insane. Imagine if your heart and your liver and your body and your lungs wanted to kill each other and we're like at war. Like, that's not going to succeed. But in reality, your lungs have their role, your heart has its role, your liver has its role, your stomach has its role, your brain has its role, and they all work together in synergy. That's what we can create in this new frontier. So, and that's your legacy. So, for those of you who resonate with this, you like this, one, please share it. Like, comment, like, engage. And then if you want an actual step by step of like, how can you thrive in the new frontier, like, DM me. We can chat. I am a busy person. I have a lot going on, yet I will make time for people who are actually serious. And then if you like this kind of thing, you would probably love Self Perfected. It's a group of people dedicated to actually changing the world through self-development, self-change, and taking responsibility and supporting our kids and all of that. And we have an epic event in Miami this year, and we still have tickets available. And it's like what they do in Davos every year. And they like meet and they mastermind, they have fun, but they also like plan on, hey, what's happening here? What are we going to do here? They have people from different industries all coming together and politicians. That they've been doing that since the 70s in Davos. Okay. We've been doing that since last year. Last year we were in San Diego. This year we're in Miami. It's going to keep growing. We call it Enter the 1%, and it's amazing. You got to be there. It's at a five-star hotel, and it's extremely reasonably priced. Like, we should be charging 3 times the amount for the tickets. And like, it's an epic experience. And the entire time you're there last year, for example, is like 4 days. Most people are there for 4 days. From the moment you get to the hotel till the moment you leave, you're having deep, awesome conversations. Like there's no surface level bullshit. Like no one's drinking. Like no one's talking about sports. Like sure, we might joke about some stuff, but it's like, yo, what are you working on? How can I help? Like who do you need to meet? Like what is the point you're facing? And then you get to actually really let go of stuff. So stuff that might take you on your own. Let's say you have a problem with anger, or you have a problem with doubt. You doubt yourself, or you've been anxious and you don't really know why. That's the kind of stuff where in 4 days you can make more progress than in 4 years on your own. So you tell me how fast you want to grow. And do you have time to wait and sit around on the sidelines? Or are you the kind of person that actually invests in yourself? Says, hey, let me actually get to this event. Let me actually go be part of this. Let me actually go on the front lines. Like, I like this. It makes sense. I see it. So let's create this together because we can't do it on our own. Like, if it's just a handful of us, it's not going to work. It's about changing the culture. It's about changing education. It's about changing the culture. And it's about really thriving in this new frontier that we find ourselves in. It's the most exciting time to be alive because we can make it so. So thanks for listening. I'll probably throw this on my YouTube. And if any of this resonates, you want support or you want to just connect or bounce ideas, message me on Facebook and just reference that this is the video that you were watching and we'll connect from there. All right, y'all. Have a great Sunday.